The Journey to London. In a small village nestled between rolling hills and tranquil rivers, there lived a young girl named Maria. Maria was 16 years old, bright and full of dreams, yet she struggled with one thing that bothered her deeply: her inability to speak and understand English. This language had always seemed like an obstacle, something foreign and distant. Despite her efforts, she couldn't seem to make any progress, and the more she tried, the more she felt discouraged. Her friends would tell her that learning English was important for future opportunities, but Maria felt like it was just too much to handle. The world around her was constantly changing. People were traveling to different countries, reading books in English, watching international movies, and listening to global music. She could see that people who spoke English had a certain level of confidence. They were able to engage in conversations with people from all over the world. They had access to the latest information, and they had more career opportunities. Maria, on the other hand, felt limited by her lack of English skills. She would look at the English signs on shops, the lyrics to songs, and the headlines of news articles, but it all felt like a distant world that she couldn't reach. One evening, as Maria sat in her room with her books scattered around her, she received a message from her cousin Anna, who lived in the city. Anna was the same age as Maria but was fluent in English. She had moved to the city to study, and her success was something that Maria admired greatly. The message was simple: "Maria, do you want to join me on a trip to London next summer? It's a beautiful place, and I want to show you around." Maria's heart skipped a beat. London, one of the most vibrant cities in the world, was a dream destination for her. She had always wanted to see the famous landmarks like Big Ben, the Tower of London, and Buckingham Palace. But a new wave of doubt washed over her. How would she manage in a foreign city, where English was the primary language? She had never been confident speaking English, and the thought of navigating a city like London without being able to communicate properly seemed impossible. Feeling conflicted, Maria decided to share her worries with her mother. "Mama," she said softly, "Anna invited me to go to London with her, but I'm afraid I won't be able to understand anything. I don't know enough English." Her mother smiled kindly and sat beside her. "Maria, I know it feels like a big challenge, but remember, all of the great things in life require hard work and effort. You're not alone on this journey. If you decide to learn, I'm sure you'll see how beautiful the world becomes when you understand more languages." Maria felt a sense of warmth and encouragement from her mother's words, but she was still unsure. That night, as she lay in bed, her mind kept returning to the idea of visiting London. The dream of exploring the world, meeting people from different cultures, and understanding the global conversations around her seemed more exciting than ever before. The next day, Maria decided to take a small step. She dusted off her old English textbook and opened it to the first page. As she read the words on the page, she realized that her fear wasn't the language itself, it was her belief that she couldn't do it. She had never truly given herself the chance to learn English, thinking it was too difficult, too complex, and too out of reach. But today, she realized that this had to change. Maria decided to break her big goal into smaller, manageable steps. The first step was simple: to learn just one new word each day. She would write the word on a piece of paper, repeat it aloud, and try to use it in a sentence. At first, it felt awkward and forced, but over time, the words began to stick. The more she practiced, the more confident she became. Soon, she could form small sentences and then entire paragraphs. One day, Maria's teacher, Mr. Thomas, noticed her improved focus in class. He approached her after the lesson and asked, "Maria, you've been working hard on your English, haven't you? I can see the progress you've made. Keep going, you're doing great." That moment was a turning point for Maria. Hearing her teacher's praise filled her with a sense of accomplishment and pride. For the first time, she realized that her efforts were paying off. Learning English wasn't as difficult as she had once thought, it was just a matter of perseverance. Maria also began to incorporate English into her daily life. She started listening to English music, paying attention to the lyrics, and trying to understand the meanings behind the songs. She watched English movies with subtitles, and at first, she could only catch a few words here and there. But little by little, she began to understand more and more. Soon, she could watch an entire movie in English and understand most of the dialogue. It was like a whole new world had opened up for her. Her next step was to engage with English speakers. One day, Maria's cousin Anna called her, and they decided to have a conversation in English. Maria felt nervous at first, unsure if she could keep up with Anna's fast pace, but Anna was encouraging. "Don't worry, Maria. We're just practicing. Take your time. I'm proud of you for trying." They chatted for a few minutes, and although Maria stumbled over a few words, she was able to hold the conversation. When the call ended, she felt an overwhelming sense of achievement. The fear she once had about speaking in English slowly began to fade. She realized that making mistakes was part of the learning process, and it was okay to not be perfect. The more she practiced, the better she would become. As the weeks went by, Maria's English skills continued to improve. She practiced speaking, listening, reading, and writing every day. Slowly but surely, the once distant dream of visiting London was starting to feel like a tangible goal. She had worked hard to get better at listening to English, and now she was able to understand people speaking on the street, in shops, and in cafes. Maria began to look forward to her trip with excitement, knowing that the effort she had put into learning the language would allow her to fully experience everything London had to offer. One day, just before her trip, Maria received another message from Anna. "I can't wait to see you in London, Maria. You've come so far with your English, and I'm really proud of you. You'll see, this trip will be life-changing for you." The day finally arrived when Maria and her mother boarded a flight to London. As they walked through the bustling streets, Maria marveled at how much she had grown. She could understand the street signs, follow conversations in cafes, and even make small talk with the locals. In a way, London felt like a reflection of her journey. The world had opened up for her, and English was no longer a barrier. As she stood in front of the Tower of London with Anna, Maria smiled to herself. She had come a long way. From the girl who was once afraid to speak a word of English to the young woman confidently navigating the streets of London, Maria had learned one of the most valuable lessons of all. With hard work, determination, and a little bit of courage, anything is possible. From that moment on, Maria knew that learning English wasn't just about understanding words. It was about unlocking new opportunities, connecting with people, and broadening her horizons. She had faced her fears, taken small steps every day, and achieved something that once seemed impossible. In the years that followed, Maria continued to learn and grow. She traveled to many more countries, made friends from all over the world, and pursued her career with confidence. And whenever she looked back at that pivotal moment in her room when she made the decision to learn English, she remembered how a single step had led her to a lifetime of possibilities. Maria's story was one of motivation, resilience, and the power of learning. It showed that no dream is too big if you're willing to take the first step. With dedication and belief in yourself, anything is achievable, even mastering a new language.